This is the E file. Huh?
Requesting all the participants to be seated. The dignitaries are about to come. Please switch off or put their mobile phones on silent.
Awesome. This 1 week of so amazing activities that has been provided from a very good.
Please be seated. The function will begin shortly. The dignitaries are here, requesting you to please rise.
The campus here is awesome.
This 1 week of journey was so amazing for all of us. The facilities that has been provided from day one are well managed, a very good program, and it's a blend for working professionals. We got a chance to meet with various people having diverse backgrounds, and the professors, they are so nice and they teach us so nicely.
This is one of the life-changing opportunities I am enjoying.
We love university!
A very good morning to all present here. My name is Prasida, and it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to the inauguration of the EPGP-16 batch. Joining us today are our esteemed director, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, our distinguished chief guest, Mr. Shailendra Katyal, Managing Director, Lenovo India Private Limited, and all other dignitaries and participants. May I request everyone to please rise for the invocation as we proceed to light the lamp. Thank you. I would like to request Professor Aishwarya Ramasundaram, Chairperson EPGP, to kindly come forward and introduce our esteemed chief guest, followed by the delivery of the welcome address.
Professor Debashish Chatterjee, Director IIM Kozhikode, a pillar of support and a guiding force in all our endeavors. Mr. Shailendra Katyal, VP and Managing Director of Lenovo India Private Limited. Professor Deepa, Dean Outreach, Executive Education and Internationalization. Professor Rajesh, Dean Programs, my colleagues, friends, and all EPGP participants, the bright stars of today, a hearty and warm welcome to all of you. I take this opportunity to welcome the cohort of 619 participants to the inaugural ceremony of the 16th batch of Executive Education Program, commencing with a one-week in-campus module, a highlight of the program. We trust that the trip to our campus will help keep your relationships warm with your batchmates, orient you into the culture and rigor of the program, and refresh fond academic memories. Started in 2001-2002 as a trailblazer, first of its kind, one-year course on synchronous interactive distance learning mode, the EPGP program has come a long way, carving its niche in the Asia-Pacific region in the last 15 years. The program is the biggest and the second oldest program offered at IIM Kozhikode. The IL format allows participants to have the flexibility to choose the classroom centers based on their city of residence or work, facilitated by our technology partner, Times Pro. Without allowing participants to compromise on their professional commitments, the program takes the classroom to the students while upholding the quality of management education that the Institute is renowned for. The positive response to the program can be seen from the increase in the interest we get year on year in application numbers. This year, admissions were conducted over 2 phases following a rigorous admissions criteria, and this year too, the program witnessed the highest ever count of registrations as on date, breaking the previous year's numbers, an indicator of an executive's enthusiasm for the program. This trend has been consistent irrespective of the state of the economy, pandemic, or global management education trends. Many schools have replicated the concept, yet we stand out with a very vibrant and diverse participant profile. The success sutra for this growth is not dependent on us. It happens when our unique academic rigor meets your aspirations and passions. As mentioned, the participants seated today have been selected from a rigorous admission and selection process. We have a cohort of 619 participants of diverse age groups. IT sector contributes to more than 200 participants. The rest of the participants are from diverse areas such as public sector, energy, aerospace, education, consulting, manufacturing, automotive, banking, and insurance. We have a work experience of 3 to 5 years among 167 of the participants. 195 participants have 6 to 9 years. 193 participants have 10 to 15 years. 51 beyond 16 years, and 13 participants have experience beyond 20 years. This year, we have more than 24% female participants, which is the highest ever gender diversity that the program has ever seen. We have a representation from 150 plus firms with a collective shared work experience of 5,500 years, an immense knowledge and wisdom pool, which I'm sure you will leverage over the course of the program. The average work experience of this cohort is 9.4 years. This year, we have a special partnership with Deloitte India and JSW. Participants from these organizations were nominated for the EPGP program and participated in the admission process as per our criteria. We have 25 participants from Deloitte and 6 from JSW with us in the batch today. The 619 participants are distributed across 6 sections. 300 plus have attended the orientation program last week, and 300 plus will do so in the coming week. Despite the increased familial and professional responsibilities, a big hand out to all the participants for the courage, confidence, and aspirations to pursue learning despite the odds that might have been stacked against you at multiple stages. Without compromise on the rigor of the program, we hope to help you maintain a healthy rhythm. So once again, on behalf of IIM Kozhikode, we extend our heartiest welcome to all of you. On this momentous occasion, I take great pleasure in introducing our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Shailendra Katyal, VP and Managing Director, Lenovo India Private Limited. He is the vice president and is at Lenovo. Lenovo is a global technology powerhouse ranked 217 in the Fortune Global 500 with an industry-leading portfolio of pocket-to-cloud solutions. Lenovo remains the #1 PC brand in the world, recognized as one of the BCG's top 50 most innovative companies, and ranks #8 in Gartner's annual supply chain rankings. With iconic brands like ThinkPad, Motorola, Yoga, and Legion, Lenovo remains committed to bringing smarter technology for all. Mr. Shailendra has been at the helm of Lenovo since 2021 and is entrusted with driving Lenovo's transformation from a devices leader to an end-to-end technology solutions provider backed by a strong local manufacturing capability. Lenovo India shipped out over 5 million Made in India products in financial year 2022-2023. Over a 24-year-long career, he has had extensive experience in the traditional FMCG and new age technology sectors across domains of business leadership, strategy, marketing, and mergers and acquisition. He holds a PGDM degree from IIM Calcutta and a bachelor's degree in business studies from Delhi University. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I request our director, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, to honor the guest with a ponnada and a small token of gratitude for making time for us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I kindly request Professor Deepa Sethi, Dean, Outreach, Executive Education and Internationalization, to address the incoming batch. Esteemed Chief Guest, respected Director, dignitaries, colleagues, and my dear EPGP-16 students, a very good morning. It is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that I extend a warm welcome to each one of you to this abode of wisdom, IIM Kozhikode. As you embark on this transformative journey into the executive postgraduate program, I want to express my heartfelt congratulations on your decision to pursue higher education and further hone your skills. This is a momentous occasion, marking the beginning of a new chapter in your professional and academic lives. The EPGP is not just a program, it's an opportunity for growth, learning, and development. You are about to engage in a journey that will challenge your intellect, broaden your perspectives, and equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to excel in the dynamic business landscape. I encourage you to embrace this experience wholeheartedly. Take advantage of the rich resources, world-class faculty, and diverse cohort that the institution offers. Collaborate, share ideas, and build lasting connections with your peers. Remember, learning is not confined to the classroom. It happens in conversations, debates, and projects. Your success in this program will not only be measured by the grades you achieve, but by the personal and professional growth you undergo. Be energetic, stay curious, approach challenges with a positive mindset. The skills you acquired during your time here will not only contribute to your success, but will also have a lasting impact on the organizations you represent and the communities you serve. I have full confidence that each one of you has the potential to excel and make a significant difference in your respective fields. The faculty and staff here are there to support you, and I encourage you to make the most of the resources available. In the wise words of William Butler Yeats, education is not the filling of a pail, pail is vessel. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. As you kindle the flames of knowledge and embark on this academic journey, may you find inspiration, illumination, and the resilience to overcome challenges. Best wishes for a fruitful and enriching experience. Thank you. Thank you, Madam, for your inspirational words. I kindly request Professor Debashish Chatterjee, Director of IIM Kozhikode, to address and welcome the incoming batch.
How does it feel? Feel the fact that you're sitting on a chair and your heart is beating, you're alive, and you're breathing free, and there's a shared strangeness in the air. Why is it strange? Because you are not familiar with each other yet. 5,500 years of experience is no mean thing. So you have to process all of that. Learning from your great teachers, we have 103 of them here. They are the ones who have shaped minds and hearts of so many professionals by now. So if you count that, then it will be a few 100,000 man years of productive performing cohorts. And so for your teachers first, can we hear a loud applause, because this is something that I want to do. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Shailendra Katyal is here. He is the MD of Lenovo India Private Limited, comes from very eclectic school, one of the top three, defined as ABC of India, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta. He's a graduate of IIM Calcutta, an institution that we have overtaken this year in NIR ranking. So with due apologies to you. With due apologies to you, I welcome you in our midst, and it's such a privilege to have had an opportunity for a small conversation. Can you hear me clearly at the end? Clear? Okay. Yeah, I have started from there as well, so I have to take share of my burden. All right. So esteemed faculty members, deans, Professor Deepa Sethi, Professor Rajesh Upadhyay, who I see here, and my administrators, who are actually the personnel behind the seamless flow of things that you see happening here, and of course the EPGP cohort. The increasing growth of this program from 40 odd, if I remember when I came in. So this is the first IIM to have digitized, diversified, and disrupted the MBA program. We were the first IIM 2001 to set up what was then known as the Interactive Distance Learning Program. Now it is not distant anymore. And we can see we are pioneers. We continue to lead the pack. The rest of the IIMs started much after we did in terms of this kind of an orientation too, because we realize IIMs have to go to managers rather than managers coming here all the time. And the only way we could go there as a remote school was essentially to the digital world. So we digitized. Then we disrupted the pecking order by bringing in, firstly, a gender diversity with 54% women in the class of 2013. Not exactly 54, 53.7 odd, right? And then we recognized that we did something whose time had come, because corporates are looking for more women in decision-making roles, and we were the first IIM to put our head out and did this. And then we diversified with the portfolio programs, including this one. We started our MBA in Liberal Studies and Management, MBA in Finance, 1-year business leadership program, and a PhD for practice track professionals, all done within a span of 18 months. So we literally went berserk with our offering, and luckily the corporate world responded, and we managed to bring in 9.38 years of work ex and 24.07% women in this cohort, which is a testimony to the fact that there's a wide range of acceptance of our programs from the corporate context, from our stakeholders. Now, what is this experience going to be all about? Since you already have so many years of experience, it's not experience that makes a difference. It's the reflection that you have from your experience that makes a difference. You have to reflect on your experience, because if your experience is the same, then there's no value in that experience. If everybody's experience continues to be the same, what do we learn? There's no learning involved. When there is a differential experience, when our life trajectories has been as different from each other as a zebra and an elephant. Only then we can learn from each other. So diversity makes immense sense. Do you see why diversity is so critical? Because the more diverse we are, the more our learning curve goes up. I can bet that this cohort of 600 odd people will work in multiple geographies going forward, given the trajectory of your predecessors. Each culture you cross, you gain a diverse set of experiences. And you learn from them. You learn, there are many different ways. Like Marvin Minsky of MIT once said, the birth of intelligence is to be able to see a form or a phenomena in multiple ways, different ways. Intelligence is not about a fixed appraisal of reality. It's about the dynamic interplay between the subjective mind and the objective world. And the more flexible you are in your subjective frame of reference, the more you're going to pick up subtleties, nuances in your environment. Therefore, the three major capabilities or competencies that Harvard research points out for this century would be adaptability, number one, curiosity, number two, adaptability, curiosity, two, and three, creativity. And I'm going to take all these three together to say this is what learning is all about. You adapt to contexts, situations, perspectives that you never had before. And the thing that will get you to adapt would be this value called curiosity. You've got to remain curious. Like the lady right there is curious by just sleep. She didn't have a good night's sleep. So she's curious about sleep right now. You got to have curiosity, otherwise you will not be able to pursue. So the campus, the way it is designed, the curriculum, the way it is designed is to architect the flow of curiosity. How do you remain curious? These 3 weeks of immersion here, you got to get curious. You discover this campus for yourself. Why was it designed? What are the design principles? What is the thinking? For instance, you will see music everywhere on the corridors and stuff like that. You might wonder, if you're curious, you wonder, why is this music in a business school? What's the point of having music? Then you realize that no, business institutions are run by people, and people are not linear like a balance sheet. People are dynamic. They are a set of vibrations. Your DNA is a dance of molecules. Your heartbeat is rhythmic. The way you see business cycles don't follow a dead pattern. There are nuances. Great leaders get nuances, the rhythms of business much faster than others. Therefore, they're leaders. And at the end of it, you have to look at what is the rationale for using music. I have to go back to one of my deans who famously quoted that in management, if you don't perform, you have to face the music, therefore get to know it. Right? And so, our unique academic space is designed to create aspiration, because aspiration is what drives business. Aspiration is what drives this country. You know, the unfortunate thing is a population of 1.4 billion, third largest economy seemingly in a few years from now, but not a single global product. You go to a Japanese market, you go to Ginza, you go to New York, you go to Milan, you don't see the semblance of one Indian brand. And I'm just wondering, how long will it take for a global Indian brand where people will queue up to buy a product made in India? If that hasn't happened, then our managerial capabilities have not been tested on the global stage. We can't call ourselves Vishwaguru without measuring up to world standards. And it is very important then that one of you sitting here will wake up to a reality that we are indeed a global entity and we have a right to create a global product. Does the rounds in those markets. And so India's coming to center stage of enterprise will largely depend on the value and vibrancy of the human mind, the minds that we have here in the room. These are our soft power assets. And the value and vibrancy has to be connected with that aspiration I was talking about. Because if you don't aspire to be the greatest, the best, don't aspire to be global, you will remain a regional player. You know, one of the guys who graduated out of the EPGP program, I met him in Seattle. He got transferred from his Bangalore office to Seattle office. And he said, this is my dream to work very close to Satya Nadella and the likes of Bill Gates. And I have an opportunity to have see, just the mobility from Bangalore to Seattle was as a result of this program. This program did give this person the aspiration to see the business from a global perspective, not just a regional or local perspective. So see your business, see yourself as a world citizen. And how would you behave as a world citizen? How will you behave as a member of the global corporate of, 8 billion people? Will you still remain confined to your regional identity? Would you still think small? Or would you think aspirationally? Our vision is globalizing Indian thought, and you see this painted everywhere. And you might wonder what that means. What it means for us is that we are going to take Indian thought to its logical conclusion, which is a product or a service of Indian origin that has impacted the world in ways that is good for the world. It is not our dream to be the best in the world alone. That is a legitimate aspiration. But a greater aspiration is to be best in the world and best for the world at the same time. A product or a process that does good to the world. And India is the only civilization that thinks on a world scale. No other civilization has Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam as its rallying cry. No other civilization thinks of Brahman and Pind at the same time. No other civilization has cosmic proportions in terms of how it conceptualizes itself. I think we stand at the cusp of a breakthrough where the idea of India and the idea of the universe, the idea of the world, will now synergize, will come together. So what is good for India will be good for the world. Imagine sustainability principles. We are now debating this in Dubai. Without India's participation, can sustainability be arrived at? It cannot be. And therefore, what are we doing to measure up to globalization of Indian thought? Are we thinking in those planes? Are you aware of what's happening in multiple geographies? Not just your own little cocoon. And this program, I'm sure, given your faculty's width of experience, many of them have gone to Harvard Business School for their participant-centered learning. They travel abroad. Our faculty publishes globally in FT50 journals. And so their knowledge is measured against global standards and benchmarks. And I'm sure they will be capable of giving you that vision that we as a school will continue to strive towards. The three values that drive us. I'm going to conclude with these three values, which are very, very important, close to our heart. The first value that drives us is the value of authenticity. And you are wondering, how is authenticity going to be connected to business practices that are largely pragmatic in nature? Can you remain authentic and still remain in business for long? This is a question a lot of people ask because they don't see evidence of authentic behavior. Look at this great global product called Tylenol, Johnson & Johnson's product. And the person who actually was a protagonist in this episode was Leo Burke, CEO of Johnson & Johnson. I remember in the US newspaper, I was reading a report that one bottle of Tylenol was spoiled and Leo Burke decided to pull off all the Tylenol from all the shelves around the world. It cost the company several $1 billion in losses in one go. But that one action helped Tylenol and Johnson & Johnson rebrand itself in a way that it never went back. It still continues to dominate the market, world market. So imagine one authentic ethical practice in the eye of a storm can really deliver the kind of exponential value. Think of Satyam, think of Enron, think of Anderson Consulting. See what happened to these companies, larger than life companies, how they went down the drain. And so authenticity is a hallmark of not just the way we profess, but the way we teach, the way you can expect our faculty to be on time for classes, and therefore they can demand that you should be on time. You can expect our faculty to do due diligence in their homework. They put in 9 to 10 hours of work before 90 minutes of teaching or 45 minutes of teaching. So there has to be authenticity at every step of the way in the processes we follow. Not that we are always up to the mark. We fall short of our own expectations sometimes. we go wrong. But there is always this awareness that this is our driving value, authenticity. So your decisions, let them be made based on that authentic principle. I come closer to reality. I have to learn to face facts as they are, not to deny them, not to push them under carpets. Right? So if there are problems that you encounter while you're here, give a feedback. If there are good things that you want to talk about us, please do so outside the campus. It serves us well. But don't talk bad about us outside. That would not be loyal to the organization. You're now part of our family, right? So you keep the family dispute within the family. I hope you understand what I mean, right? The second value is, of course, Nityam, which is, sustainability. Now you can see most corporations today are designed for non-sustainability. The abiding principle I was talking to Shailendra, I was saying, look, the father of stakeholder theory, and I had a conversation, I incidentally forgot his name. And he himself said that I don't believe by the stakeholder theory, which means business exists only for a handful of stakeholders. It has no concern with environment, it has no concern with larger reality of life. I mean, corporations cannot afford to do that any longer. Corporations of tomorrow will have to be certified by their own communities, by normal people. So we are beholden as a business leader to be sensitive to a larger reality beyond your stakeholders, beyond the stock market. So any practice will not do that. Practice will have to be vetted as environmentally. See, Bhopal gas tragedy happened when? And now Netflix has produced a film on Bhopal gas tragedy. Because its time has come, because people realize that you cannot afford to be a multinational and destroy a local environment. And you cannot get away with it. There's a cost for outsourcing the social cost and environmental cost for outsourcing your business practices, and you have to measure up to those costs. So sustainability, when businesses are designed for non-sustainability, you have to redesign those businesses. And as a leader, you have to be involved in those design principles. You can see our campus. We have living rights here. We have rights for cats and dogs and snakes. We don't kill snakes. I mean, mercifully, they haven't killed any one of us, as statistics would tell you. And we have living rights, not just human rights. Not a single tree can be cut on campus without an explicit permission from the director. All right? One of my faculty is now evangelizing, and I told him that we will help look at microclimate conditions within our campus. So we'll look at 1 kilometer stretch and how the climate is like. What is the pollution level? What is the quality of the air you're breathing? And so the fundamentals of what you call sustainable practice will have to be learned inside out, and you have to do it. You can't bring plastic bottles you can see on my table. Right? I can see a plastic bottle right here. This is not sustainable, not acceptable in our campus. Not that I'm going to hound you, but I'll remind you, please get rid of it. So this is the second value. The third value is, of course, just a little more before I go to the third value. I was with the Australian High Commissioner a month back. And Australian High Commissioner was asking me, what should Australian higher education remember when they're talking to Indian higher education people? I said, you should learn to respect Indian higher education. He said, we do, but what is so special? I said, the special thing is, if you don't, then we will do to Australian cricket what we haven't done yet. And we'll do to Australian education what we haven't done yet. We will learn from your practices and do a better job at it. We are creating the better fast bowlers in Australia anyway. So he said, so what is about Indian way of thinking that we should respect? I said, look, our civilization was designed for sustainability. When you grow a crop, you keep a part of the crop for pests. They were meant to be eaten by pests because pests had to survive for an ecological balance to be maintained. So pests were not pests, they're part of the ecology. Now, if you classify something as a pest, then you are questioning their right to exist. They're not pests by definition, they're pests in terms of your business practice. You want all the crops for yourself and you don't want to feed your ecology, larger ecosystem. And the result is what? You can see complete defertilization. You have actually arid lands in Bangladesh. You can see the entire region, Punjab. completely driven to a sense of barrenness because of the non-sustainable practices. So fundamental to Indian thought, fundamental to our orienting logic is sustainability, and we must rediscover that once again. Finally, I'll come to the issue of fulfillment. And the thing is, we hear it often. You go to a place in Khan Market and you will see a little poster in a little shop which says, customer is my God. Interestingly, the same philosophy applies. When you go there and you look at customer as the basis of your existence, as the rationale for your existence, then the way you treat your divine, you must treat the customer in the same manner, in a similar manner. I had a sample of fulfillment, and this is what is called fulfillment. You must fulfill the customer for the customer to fulfill your need to exist. How does one do that? And I'm going to end with this example I had in Japan, and I realized this was a great Indian idea that has been perfected in Japan. So I'm looking for a sushi store where I can sample some sushis of Japan, and my definition of sushi changed when I looked at this shop called Sushi 10, where sushis are very different from what you get in India, what is usually called sushis in India. But you have a whole table laid out for you, and the person who's waiting on us says, this is the standard price for anybody who gets in. So whatever you want to eat, you can eat, but this is the standardized price. And they only admit a handful because it's it's a limited entry. You can't. So we just walked in. We didn't know we didn't have an appointment. Nevertheless, we were allowed to sit in. And so we were served one dish after the other in quick succession. And I was wondering, how can I eat all of these? Because first of all, I don't like some of it. Some of it I like, which I ate. But it's a waste of money paying so much for not eating. So my surprise, and we were treated, whatever we didn't like to eat was taken away. Whatever we liked to eat, was served more of that. When the bill came, I thought bill was substantially lower, less than half of what was told to us as the price. So I asked the waitress, why did you charge us so little? He said, we charged you for food you enjoyed, not for the food you ordered. And I couldn't stop writing about this story on LinkedIn. I said, this is what India was, is, and should be. We must fulfill the customer needs. So one of the promises that we make, we don't promise you a job. We're not an employment exchange. We don't promise you 5-star hospitality because we're not running a 5-star hotel. We're running an academic institution. What we promise is that your rationale for coming here will be fulfilled. There will be value for your money. And if there isn't, we are accountable for it. Every part of the institution is accountable for it. With that promise, with that hope, I would understand that you would know that the very rationale for you to come here is Satyam, Nityam, and Purnam. Authenticity, sustainability, and fulfillment. And the reason why you should be taking the next step is because you learned the romance of wealth creation. Wealth comes in multiple currencies. And one of the greatest wealth creators of India, J.R.D. Tata, when he died, people found out that he was living in a rented house, one of the greatest creators of wealth. He never preached austerity. All he said was that I don't want India to be the most powerful country in the world. I want India to be a happy country, because that is the very index of fulfillment. And the romance of wealth creation was not lost on him, because he thought wealth creation was something that you should be happy about. It's a romantic journey. It's not just a stereotypical journey. So carry on and face the music. And thank you for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your wisdom. I kindly request Mr. Shailendra Katyal, Managing Director, Lenovo India Private Limited, Chief Guest of the Day, to deliver the inaugural speech.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay at the back? I have a soft voice. I keep getting that complaint from my employees in office. Thank you, Professor Chatterjee, Deepa, Aishwarya, my good friend Rudra. Thanks for having me. I was feeling very overwhelmed when I met them, some of them in the morning. I felt I was very underdressed for the occasion because I turned up in jeans and I thought it was a Sunday. But thanks for giving me company. More of the room is in t-shirt, so I'm feeling a little more included right now. So tough act to follow. A very, very inspirational speech, commencement speech from Professor Chatterjee. I was getting inspired while listening to him. And he said it just through his notes, which I'm sure he's written himself. But like all of you would have seen, in companies it doesn't work like that, right? We all need presentations, so I do have some slides that I'll take you through. And I guess the only bone of contention I'll have with Professor Chatterjee is the ranking of the respective institutes. I still believe IMK is number one. It's just that the other K is more important, is Kolkata. So with that, I'm turning 50 next year, so 25 years of working now. And what I'm going to share with you is not so much of wisdom or a lecture. It's more about my practical observations. And I hope as you look forward to your, I would say, building and rebuilding your careers, because many of you have 10, 15 years of experience, hopefully some of these nuggets will be useful for you to think through the rest of your... How does this move? Okay. So cannot start without a pitch about my company. So some of that was covered. We are a big tech company. Some of these facts are unknown about us, which is why I use every forum to talk a little more about the company that I represent. So we've been the number one PC company for some time now, and many of you would be using our products, whether it's a yoga or a ThinkPad. In many tech companies, ThinkPad is the number one brand. But over time, we've truly now become pocket to cloud. We acquired the Motorola business some time back, and we also built a server business. So anything which is required to run the digital infrastructure from the pocket to the cloud, Lenovo is able to provide. In some places, we are number one. In some places, we are not number one yet, but well on that journey. And on top of that, one important theme that Professor Chatterjee spoke about is sustainability. Our category is one of the biggest contributors to not so sustainable situation of the planet. E-waste is one of the biggest topics. And one of the things that we are trying to drive is consumption of IT as a service. Because you may have a lot of, you may buy a lot of hardware, you may not end up consuming all the capacity. So IT as a consumption model is the new theory which is coming through. And on top of the hardware that we provide, which is a phone to a server, we are saying, can you buy it as a service from us? So that's the journey that we are on. Yeah, reasonably big, reasonably diversified. In India, we do really well because all parts of the business are represented. And India now contributes to about 2.5 billion of the 62 billion that you see on this chart. So some of these themes Professor Chatterjee did touch upon, but as we see the world around us, right, we've seen multiple black swan events. And as a business person, I do see these themes coming through every day. Practically, as we experience the market, when you open the papers, as you talk to your colleagues, as you talk to your even your competitors, we are living in very, very dynamic and very, very uncertain times. There are some very large, I would say, tectonic forces which are at play. And these are not small changes. These are big fundamental changes which is forcing us to reevaluate how business will be run in the future. First is this theme of uncertainty. And if you remember the picture on the top left of the chart, all of you remember, right? One small canal, one ship, it practically stopped the global supply chain for a period of a week to 10 days. That's how connected we are, and hence any small event, which is called the butterfly effect, can have a rub-off effect on the entire world economy. We've seen geopolitics come into play, and that's a fairly tectonic shift again, right? If India is becoming a bigger market as well as a bigger contributor to growth. Some of the and we see that with emerging markets, right? First is for China, now India. So as the emerging markets become more powerful economically, and the West goes into secular decline, aging population, not so much of innovation happening there, you will see these forces of uncertainty become even more. You've seen 2 wars just in 2 years, right? What is that? That is not a civilizational war. It is a war to have some kind of control over how the economic narrative of the world will flow. Sustainability of the plan has become a big topic, not a new one. It's been around Greenpeace has been around for 50 years. People have been talking about sustainability. But now, and global warming, etc., we were kids when we started reading about those. But now it's reaching a tipping point, and everyone's waking up. First, the regulators are waking up, which is the governments. Everyone's got aligned, signing multiple agreements over the last 5, 6 years. Corporates are being forced by that regulatory pressure, and more importantly, the new citizenry is also creating that pressure. That people are making choices towards sustainability. Started more as a marketing gimmick, that my product is more biodegradable or it has less plastic, but now it's becoming a genuine lifestyle choice. That there's only so much you can consume. Then how do you make the planet a better place or more sustainable? Right now, the stupidity that we have, we are trying to colonize other planets while destroying one, right? So why not put the entire effort to make this planet itself more habitable? And the third big disruption, and many of you represent tech companies here. Again, this is not a new topic. Devices have been intelligent. AI, ML as a topic has been there for the last 10 years. But the way it's all come together into one big disruptive thing, which is called generative AI. Earlier, when we were talking to machines, we were talking in their language, right? It started with punch cards and zeros and ones. And now we've taught them our language and they can communicate back. That is a power of generative AI, right? All large language model. What is it? We are talking the machine to talk to us in our language and also then think like us. This is, I think, one of the most disruptive moments that the world has seen. It is not about internet coming in and social media connecting all of us. That was only consumption. That was only one way kind of communication. But this is truly powerful, and people are so scared of the power of this, and now there are regulatory topics already coming in, that how do we control this beast, because it can the wrong power in the wrong hands can take the world in. So this is, as I would say, tectonic as nuclear fission. That something has come in. We don't know how to tame the beast, but more and more regulation will come in to make it more, I would say, powerful for human use rather than destructive for human use. Sum total of all of this, again, these are management terms. In the 80s, it became more popular in the early 2000s. There was this thing called VUCA. How many of you are familiar with VUCA? Yeah, I see some hands getting raised up. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. So we were seeing the pressure build up, right? From 10 year, I remember as a brand manager making a 10-year plan. It became 5 year, then it became 3 year. Now we are living by the quarter because you can't predict what's going to happen. And that's the nature of the economy now, right? Things are so dynamic that you can't have whatever Lord Keynes said, that in the long run we'll all be dead. That long run definition itself is becoming much shorter. Guess what's the new term? In the last 4 or 5 years, post-COVID, this has become very popular, Bani. Look at the acceleration in the negativity of those words. Brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. Now you're supposed to lead big companies. You yourself are facing Bani. That's the kind of uncertainty all of you will face. That how do you navigate and equip yourself? And some of the terms that Professor Chatterjee used are very, very useful. In this kind of dynamism, you can't be linear. You can't be rigid. You have to be adaptive. You have to be constantly learning. And more importantly, unlearning all the time, so that you are able to navigate this very, very dynamic world. This is a fact. All of us are going to live longer, barring maybe pandemics like COVID, shortening lives for some of us. By and large, average life expectancy has gone up. Right? Japan is a classic example. Many people are living into their 90s and 100s. What does it do for your career planning? When our parents started, many of us are still in that zone, right? Retire at 58, because that is how the definition is. Official retirement age is 58 or 60. What do you do for the next 30 years? We've seen it with our parents, right? That they lived for the retirement and then they're struggling because kids are away. What do they do for the balance 20, 30 years of their life? You've heard about this guy who's doing reverse aging, spending millions of dollars. That's reality. It's always been the search for eternal youth. Now there's technology which can make you live much longer. Now see this in the context of your career. You will have a longer career. You can't retire at 58, because then you will be burdened to yourself and everyone around you. And hence this thing about I'm going to run very hard. When we started our careers, it was become a CEO at this age. There'll be a list called 30 under 30, 40 under 40. Not relevant anymore. You're not running a race, at least not a sprint. You're trying to be productive for as long as possible for yourself and for people around you. Everyone remembers the corporate ladder. It was called the ladder for a reason, hierarchy. You join in band 6, band 7, you will get to band level, you will become a vice president. And you have to do it before the age of 40. So it's all a pressure cooker to climb up. Already we have seen last 10 years. You guys stood up when I came in. Nobody stands up when I go into office. Nobody gives me tea. We've become very, very flat. We've become very, very humble as leaders. We've become very, I would say, network oriented and matrix oriented rather than a army which is reporting to you. And managers who don't cope with this change, who are stuck in the hierarchical past, are dead. I mentioned this, right? How do you manage your career? And people, I studied physics very long back. After that, I got into quote unquote management, even for my undergraduation. But this is a familiar chart, right? A sinusoidal curve, ebbs and peaks. It's all a concept of energy. And how do you do it over time? If you have to have not a 30-year working career, but a 60-year working career, can it be linear? Can it be a vector only going in one direction? Absolutely cannot. Physics will not allow for it, right? So hence this concept of constant waves of learning and unlearning, widening your horizons, looking at more lateral opportunities for growth rather than vertical opportunities for growth. Last month we did a career fair, and many people in my company, my employees were complaining, I've done the same job for 3 to 5 years. What do I do? When do I get promoted? Doesn't work because there are no layers. If you have to grow horizontally. You will grow vertically, but the vertical growth, instead of 5 ladders, 5 steps to the ladder, there are only 2 steps to the ladder. So you have to become more and more, I would say, diverse in your learning and also manage your career in terms of waves of learning and unlearning. Another hot topic and enough literature on this, right? Especially with disruptive technology like Gen AI coming in. All of us are slightly scared, right? What kind of jobs will remain? I remember I grew up in the traditional era of marketing in FMCG, which was about making big budget TV ads, putting it on TV and distributing mass. And we struggled when suddenly digital came in, right? How do you learn a new topic? How do you look at competition, which will be much more nimble than you? Because digital does democratize access to the markets for everyone. A small guy can come and create a Flipkart tomorrow. Remember, it was not a Reliance a Digital or a Chroma which disrupted the retail industry in India. It was a small company called Flipkart. So with these disruptions, should you remain a specialist or should you become a journalist? There's no right answer. Finally, you have to stand for something. You need some expertise, but that expertise could become irrelevant tomorrow. So you have to create maybe many more pockets of expertise for yourself to have a longer innings. More often than not, people are saying that see Gen AI more as a thing which will take away routine jobs, repeatable jobs, programmatic jobs. But you'll still need the human mind to do what Professor Chatterjee was talking about. Who's thinking through how this campus has to be? A machine can't do that. Who's taking the decision not to cut down a tree? Who's setting those rules? You'll still need the human mind to be creative and to define what should be done. How to do it quickly. Maybe a chat GPT can still help you on that topic. So like I said, no right or wrong. Some people will choose to specialize. I was speaking to my cousin, who's a very successful medical practitioner running a critical care unit in the US. And I was taking advice, should my daughter get into medicine? Because that is what she wants to do. And he said jobs like radiologists don't exist in the next 5 years. They are one of the most highly paid people in medicine right now. Because right now the machine is doing one part of the imaging and then there's still a human mind telling the diagnosis and stuff. Radiology will be completely Gen AI. But will you still need a super specialist for surgery? You may. So some will need that super specialization, but by and large, there's this new book which has come out, which is saying that for corporate careers, have some pockets of expertise, but one pocket is not enough. Have 3 or 4, and then broaden into a generalist kind of a domain. Again, one struggle for all of us, right? How do you manage your time, especially when you have very respected leaders telling you to work 70 hours every week? And that 70 has quickly become, I used to work 80, 90 hours, so why are you guys complaining? Is that a bad thing that he said? No. When the economy was very, very raw, we did not have any capability. Somebody had to work hard to set the foundation. Now we can laugh at it because somebody else has done the hard work. But you talk to a lot of the startup leaders, right? Bhavish Agarwal, their speeches in public, it's all about still hustling, right? Because they are trying to work very hard to disrupt. They want to build something. So if you're in a building phase, there will be this thing about working, slogging extras. Is it sustainable is the question, right? And if you marry it to the thing about managing your career in waves, there will be times when you are managing in the way of 14 hours per day, maybe at a stretch for a week. You will have deadlines. But increasingly, I found it very useful because I also discovered it about 8, 10 years back. You need to manage your energy, not your time, which is about taking time off, whatever drains your energy. And if you're doing it for a longer period, it may be required by the job, but you're taking away energy from the tank. You have to refill, and you have to do it actively. You can't complain about stress. Who's in charge of your stress? It's not your boss. It's not your wife. It is you. This is again a very useful framework. When one of my friends shared this with me, work, friends, family, and I. And we are all taught in this way, right? Go to school, get a job, and then what takes over? Work. That becomes 90% of your truth. Family will demand time from you. You can't say no to them. Friends become increasingly once a week, once a month, once in 6 months, once in a year. And I'm seeing Rudra after 15 years, maybe. So something else takes priority, right? And what suffers the most in this quadrant? Self. Because you've been taught to run hard, you will have inputs, get to 40 under 40, work 70 hours a week, earn money for yourself, earn money for your family because you want to retire at 58. All these paradigms are gone. Unless you focus on the self, unless you manage your energy, you'll not be able to last the distance for 30, maybe 40 years of a working career. And it has to be joyful. You have to enjoy the journey. It can't be driven by stress. And how many people are in this room are searching for gurus or some kind of wisdom which can help you manage stress? Why does a Sadguru become so popular? I've also heard him speak. Because there's value in what he says. I'm not espousing for him, by the way. I'm just saying that there's enough need for people to rediscover their selves, and people find different paths. Some discover spirituality, some go back to the sport that they like, some get back into reading books, which is what me and Professor Chatterjee were discussing. He's still reading a book a day. I have not read a book in many years. It's only on Kindle, whatever I'm able to read on a flight. But focus on the self, and my compliments to you, because out of your very busy schedule, you've taken the task of focusing on self. Maybe you felt it intuitively that you need to unlearn maybe whatever you learned over the last 5, 10 years of your career, and you want to learn again. Right? There's this book, by the way, it was my favorite growing up, Virtue of Selfishness. How many of you have read it? Ayn Rand, Fountainhead. So she wrote one of these books also, written in a very different context of capitalism. So maybe that context doesn't apply, but this virtue of being selfish, let no one tell you that you're selfish. Only if the self is there, the other quadrants work. If the self is not there, then the rest of the quadrants don't work at all. So this is my last slide. Started with a slightly negative note, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of disruption, a lot of challenges that the world is facing. And all those challenges are real. The fundamental existence of humanity at times comes under question, right? When you suddenly see a lot of natural disasters, flooding, 50% of the coastal cities will drown in the next 4 or 5 years. There'll be no water to drink in Bangalore in the next 5 years. All these are real problems that we are facing, right? And there's this big debate now that should we go back to primitivism, that whatever is unnecessary, you just cut that out of your life. And then there are some people saying that see this as a phase, that when people move from horse carts to cars, some people got worried. If you're a horse, you will get worried if you're getting replaced by a car. Similarly, from car to a plane. But if you're a fundamental believer in the creativity and the human genius, most people are saying this disruption is there, it is real, but it will create a new platform for humanity to live much longer, become more productive, because a lot of the other indicators are becoming better. Yes, lot of people are still poor in the country, but starvation has become rare. Average life expectancy at the time of our independence would have been in the 50s, 60s maybe. It's already at 75, 80. So a lot of the human indicators are improving, yes, because the nature of capitalism and stakeholder management is about capitalism is about generating money, right? And there's a cost to generating that money, whether it is impact on the planet, impact on people, impact on society. But as we are reversing some of those negative pressures, either because of regulatory thing or the corporates themselves awakening or citizens' pressure, at least my belief is that the future is a lot more better and brighter. And you guys, I think, have a brilliant opportunity, given that the first level of hard work for the country has been done. We are seeing the fruits of the last 50, 60 years of work in the country. And there is a platform where India will find its rightful place, right? This dream of having a Indian brand going global. In a way, it's done because a lot of the products that are created in technology are created by Indians. It's just that the brand name or the ownership is with someone else. But with the entire focus of India being a big market, as well as the talent pool that we provide, I think is a great opportunity. So now's the time, now's the moment. You see enough of India shining in all conversations. Apple wanting to make 25% of iPhones in India. All that has happened just in 12 to 15 months, right? So more positive opportunities will be there. Amidst all the global disruption, if there's one shining star which can give you a great platform to impact the world, you guys are in that moment right now. So with that, congratulations to all of you. You've come through a fairly tough process. Feel privileged, and maybe I'll give a little way. Maybe IMK is ahead of IMC now, so you are carrying a great, great badge as well. And all the best for a very bright future. My allotted time is done, but if there are any questions, happy to take them.
So thanks for interacting with us. You mentioned in one of the last slides that technology after 2016 as a game changer. What is the threshold according to you made you to mention 2016 as a specific year? Is there a specific event or a specific reason?
I'll have to ask the person who made the slides for me. See, jokes apart, don't get stuck on the date, right? Whether the steam revolution happened in 1700 or 1800. That's just was to show a timeline. And if you look at the last two boxes, I was also wondering, there's something called computer and something called technology. Both can be combined at a level. But we are not arguing for semantics. It is more the thing that, yes, there was a basic computer, but technology became so much more than that, right? Just a basic piece of hardware in the last, I would say, whether you look at the internet, whether you look at a lot of solutions which came through on the basis of some computing power. I think technology disruptions has been very, very high, I would say, in the last 8 to 10 years. What was the internet connectivity in India? I got my first email ID in 99, Hotmail. The brand doesn't exist anymore. Do people still need an email ID? Most of my conversation with people like you who want to reach out is not on email, it's on LinkedIn. So we've seen all those disruptions. The place where me and Rudra grew up, we grew up with a dial phone. I don't know whether any of you have seen those kind of devices. So within one lifetime, you've seen that disruption. I do believe that, yes, 2016 may be a wrong, maybe it is 2010. Last 10, 15 years have been disruptive, but it will only accelerate is the point that I wanted to.
Might shape that might shape and take India forward.
So there is a business of India for India, and there's a business of India for the world. So you have to first define that. Are you solving for India?
India for world.
Yeah. So the advantage of India now is because of the sheer scale of the population. Whatever gets created for India is also finding application in a lot of other emerging economies first, may not be ready for adoption in mature markets. So look at the big problems that India has to solve. India is the largest learning pool in the country and the lowest device penetration. Right? So that's one problem to be solved, which is the digital divide. If you look at agricultural productivity, we are 1/10 of Australia. If you look at access to healthcare, India has the lowest doctor to population ratio. So all these are solving for what we call humanity's greatest challenges. If you are able to solve for it, will you find a model for the rest of the world, which is Africa waiting for some solution, Brazil waiting for some solution? Because remember, they don't have the talent that we have. They don't have the mental horsepower or the kind of institutions that we've created over the last 56 years to train young minds to solve for something. Unfortunately, all the tech innovation that we've seen has all been, there's Amazon in the US, I'll create a Flipkart in India. It's all copy paste of some other model and coming into just, can I replicate that model in some way in India? True innovation, which is what I think your desire also was. What is a true Indian innovation? There, I think the government has done a fantastic job. UPI, UID, ONDC now coming in. That is genuine innovation at very, very low cost. And that's the kind of innovation that can possibly help India create a lot more impact. You create a Flipkart, you'll get valuation. What is the meaningful difference that you're making to the world with that?
Good morning, sir. I am a journalist and I have been working remotely since the last 5 years. I am based in Ranchi, Jharkhand, which is a tier 2 city. So my question to you is, how do you see the evolution of remote work in India? Do you see that the next phase of growth in India will be powered by tier 2, tier 3 cities? Because for people like me, it's a major issue because I have a lot of personal constraints. I cannot move to a metro. So for climbing the quintessential corporate ladder, is shifting to a metro really the base of the formula? What is your take on remote work?
I think you're right about the constraint, and Ranchi, by the way, is one of my favorite cities. I spent 1 year there in my first year of, of my career. So fond memories of that. But it's no longer about being in office or being remote. It's become fluid. It's hybrid. And hybrid is accepted. For some things, like your model is hybrid, right? You could have you could have heard this this session remotely. You would not have had the same impact, right? There's a joy to physical interaction. There's a joy to learning from people around you. Now, what is the ratio is the debate. Right now, my organization is in 3+2. We are not enforcing it, but gently telling people that 3 days in office and 2 days remote. I come to office. I'm getting the benefit of that. If I don't have a meeting, I go back home and take the rest of. If I don't have a physical meeting, I'd spend half day in office and half day from home. This flexibility will come through. But for some interaction, some important your own growth and learning, I think some physical presence will be required. Will it come in the way of your growth? Maybe, because if you want to become a CEO of a big company and the head office, quote unquote, head office is in Bangalore, you can't run that from Ranchi unless Ranchi gives you that option of a big company operating from there. And by the way, that thought process is coming through. Sridhar Vembu is a great example, right? Zoho, he wants to move the headquarter to a small town. So demand will grow. More companies will come up in smaller cities. There are big companies headquartered out of Ahmedabad now. There are big companies headquartered out of Jaipur. So either you wait for that to happen, that there's a Times of India head office in Ranchi. Otherwise, if you have to grow, that's the unfortunate reality. Unless again you become a creator and disrupt the world and say I'll create a publishing house out of virtual publishing house out of Ranchi, that then you may have to take the lead there.
Thank you.
We'll take more questions offline. Before that, one last question.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. This is Yash, chartered accountant by profession. So my question to you is, we talk about the
Put the mic close to you.
we talk about the sustainability, but if you see the level of capex happening all over the world, somewhere we talk about the renewable energy. Parallelly, the way Aramco is doing capex in the oil and gas segment. The same way, as we are saying sustainability, but the capex we are doing for the export, for example, the Apple example you are given. So how we are going to move towards sustainability if we are doing such amount of large capex in this segment? So how as a Lenovo you are doing it to ensure that both the legs get balanced off?
Yeah, no, so there's this ideal concept of sustainability, which is to become a caveman or cavewoman again, right? That give up everything and live in a cave, which is primitivism. And it's a valid thought. Many people are saying that I'll have only 2 pairs of clothes, I live in a hut and consume only what I can grow in my yard. I do believe for 8-9 billion people, it's a little extreme that you may not be able to switch off the current way production is done. The way we are doing it as a company, we are saying that a lot of our parts are recyclable. Right? If a machine goes off, it doesn't mean that the entire machine has gone off. Some of the parts can be reused. 75% of our machines are likely to have recycled parts by the year 2030. So that's a huge commitment. Earlier it used to go into scrap or e-waste. Now we are making the effort of recovery. That's a commitment. A lot of factories which were heavy guzzlers, and not Lenovo, but there are factories which consume a lot of water, right? And that water, when after use, it became waste. But there's enough now zero net waste water consumption companies. Coke is a great example. The amount of commitment they've made, because for them the primary ingredient is water, right, on which they add flavors and other ingredients. So I think companies are making that effort. There is an extreme way of cut all capitalism, cut all consumption, and go back to a primitive way of living. The other is forcing corporates, including ours. Sir made a great example, right? Why are you carrying a plastic bottle? Are we making those small little changes? Do we need so many lights? Can we work with half of them? How is the light being powered? Is it solar? Is it? I think enough conversation is building up, and companies like ourselves are also committing to it. Net zero is a commitment everyone's been forced to sign. By 2050, I would say by and large, all of corporate world across the globe will be net zero compliant.
Sir, you had talked about the service part, as we are moving to the service.
Can we take that offline? We don't want to hold up the rest of the class. But I'm around, happy to chat with you outside.
Thank you, sir, for the wise and enlightening speech. I request the chairperson EPGP to read out the oath to mark the start of your academic journey ahead.
I request the participants to please rise. When I say my name, please replace it with yours. Let's start. I, Aishwarya, as an EPGP participant of the 16th batch, IIM Kozhikode, will take responsibility of my actions and be accountable for its foreseeable consequences. I will hold every human being in high regard, acknowledging the inherent differences honoring the rights of others to be treated with dignity. I will act with utmost integrity and pursue my work, upholding the highest ethical standards. This pledge I make freely and upon my honor. Thank you.
I request Ms. Himanshu Vasish to share a few words on behalf of the EPGP-16 batch.
Good morning, everyone. And I'm here to represent the whole batch. So I would like to ask you guys, did we have a good time? Yes. Louder. Did we have a good time? Yes. I don't think we need anything else to say on top of this loud chair. But still, I would like to extend my heartfelt thank to all EPGP team for arranging this program so efficiently, flawlessly. Actually, it has become a memorable event for a lifetime. So, be it our classes, food, convents, our esteemed faculty, the campus in itself, everything is so well arranged and well thought of that we are taking very good memories back with us. And somewhere I'm sure about it that it has ignited that student spark in all of us, because we all are from corporate world, and somewhere we might have left that studentship long back, but now it has again ignited that spark, and we are carrying that spark back with us from tomorrow onwards, as tomorrow we are going back to our corporate world. On that note, I really want to thank everyone for this wonderful experience. Looking forward to come back next year with same rigor, same entho, and all the best batch 2. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I request Mr. Binu from EPGP office to propose the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the entire IMK community, I extend sincere gratitude to Professor Debashish Chatterjee, our esteemed director, for his steadfast support as the guiding force behind the Executive Education Program. Your vision and wisdom have played a pivotal role in our journey. Thank you, sir. A special note of gratitude to Sri Shailendra Katyal, Vice President and Managing Director, India Site Leader, Lenovo Group, Lenovo India Private Limited, for esteemed guest of honor today. We highly value the time you dedicated to us and the insightful speech that added significance to this day. Your presence has truly made this occasion remarkable. I express heartfelt thanks to Professor Deepa Sethi, Dean Outreach, Executive Education, and Internationalization, for her unwavering support to the EPGP program. My gratitude extends to Professor Rajesh Srinivas Subhatayala, Dean Programs, and Professor Subhashish Dey, Dean Faculty Administration and Development, and Professor Anandakutan B. Unithan, Mentor Professor, for their dynamic efforts in enhancing the quality of education at IIMK. A special mention to Professor Aishwarya Ramasundaram, Chairperson EPGP, for her meticulous planning and unwavering support. Kudos to the EPGP Executive Committee for their dedicated commitment to the program. Our gratitude extends to Times Pro, our technology partner, for their invaluable contribution in delivering quality education. Heartfelt thanks to the industry or domain experts and alumni who shared their insights during the plenary session, and a note to the faculty for their indispensable role in building this institution of knowledge. A sincere appreciation to the entire staff, the academic, technical, and administrative community, led by Lieutenant Colonel Retired Julius George, for their relentless support throughout the program. Special thanks to the exceptional 22-member team at the EPGP office for their hard work in ensuring the smooth execution of this event. Lastly, a profound thank you to the participants of the EPGP-16 batch. Your presence has been pivotal in making this inauguration and in-campus experience a resounding success. Thank you all for your collective efforts and dedication.
Thank you, sir. May I request all of you to rise up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you all. Kindly remain seated until the dignitaries leave the auditorium. The next session will begin shortly.